One of the Colts' newest weapon is going to surprise everyone, and I think he's going to have an instant impact on the field, and he was overlooked by many, including myself. What's going on? I'm Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. If you're new to the channel, give it like a minute, give it like 3 minutes, and like and subscribe if you want to continue to be a part of this. I've been really enjoying as we continue to grow this community. We're about to hit 1,000, which is a big deal. If you know anything about YouTube and being able to continue to get resources to make this stuff happen. So, it would mean a lot if you liked and subscribe. But we're talking about Micah Abraham, a 6th-round pick for the Indianapolis Colts. He was picked number 201. And by many, including myself, you see cornerback, Marshall, you don't think much of it. But when watching the highlights of this guy and seeing his story, I think that I'm willing to say that this guy is going to have could have a really good impact on the Colts. And the reason is this. Watching his highlights, this guy has an impeccable, just an incredible ability in man coverage. Every single route that I watched of his, he was right up on the receiver. There was no separation. But not only that, but in the run defense game, an area where the Colts could, as well as anyone else, use improvement along the outside, being able to have this guy. But Micah Abraham, the reason that I think for most this was a shocking pick for the Indianapolis Colts, and why it was maybe surprising even more so, not only that the Colts got him, but that we're even talking about a 6th-round pick, is because the Colts have always been one to draft based on RAS. It's not like at first it was a joke, and now over the past 5 seasons that we've had Ballard as a GM, you look at the RAS score, and every year it gets higher. Last year, the Colts had the number 1 RAS draft at 9.5 was the average score, which is, if you know anything about RAS, it's insane. It's a relative athletic score. So it's basically you're trying to get the biggest guys, you're trying to get the guys with the most impact, the fastest, all of the on-paper traits. That's how the Colts have seemingly drafted. But when you look at this guy, Micah Abraham, out of Marshall, he's 5'9", 185 pounds, with an RAS score of 3.7. And again, you might not be thinking that's a big deal, but for the Indianapolis Colts, that's a massive deal. They don't draft guys that don't have a good RAS score. So what did they see that we're not seeing? Again, when looking at this guy's highlights and looking at what he was able to do in college, this guy had an incredible ability to stay close on the receiver, but not only that, but to not give up if there was any separation, and to be able to deflect the pass. That was one thing that I noticed specifically was his pass deflection, even when they would start to make contact, even when the ball would start to be in the receiver's hands, he wouldn't give up, and that was the time where he would initiate even deeper contact. He had some pretty significant pass deflection abilities, 14 in 2021, 10 pass deflections in 2022, and 15 in 2023. You combine that with a 1 interception in 2021, 6 interceptions in 2022, and 4 interceptions in 2023. And again, these might not seem like big numbers, especially when you're talking about a guy from Marshall, but you're looking at how is he playing the field. And especially, like I said, in man coverage, an area where the Indianapolis Colts could use some improvement because significantly they're playing zone, but to be able to have a guy who can play tight on man, especially on that outside like he has, I think is going to prove a big deal. But not only that, but we look at what he was able to do in the combine or in his pro day. Abraham has solid speed at 4.43 40-yard dash, which is faster than Juju Brents and Jalen Jones ran last year. Abraham also has 62 games of college experience with 46 starts as a member of the Thundering Herd, speaking to his football IQ. And then he kind of has some quotes in this interview. This is a report by Sports Illustrated. He says, "I'm someone who will say, they'll obviously say is undersized, but I'm someone who plays with a chip on his shoulders. We know all about that." Abraham admitted, "I'm someone who has to be good and excel in different areas because of that. One of the things I can bring is my obvious speed, my game IQ, and my ball production." And then, like I said, he goes, but the ball production is where Abraham shines. He amassed 12 interceptions and 55 passes defended in his college career, leading the Sun Belt Conference in interceptions in his final 2 seasons. That type of production led Abraham to the first team all Sun Belt nods in 2022 and 2023. I don't think we can talk enough about how important football IQ is for a defensive back. I think that we oftentimes look at the immediate on-paper stats, and his on-paper stats are good. Again, not in a great conference, but you can't really hold that against him, especially once you commit. But he put 5 years into this conference, which I think is a really, really good deal, especially being all-pro or all-Sun Belt in his conference for 2 years. I think that's a really, really good thing. But again, we talk about football IQ. Football IQ amongst defenders is one of the most important trait because you have to try and predict what is going to happen before it even happens. And we've talked a lot about undrafted free agents. We've talked a lot about the guys that the Colts have. This is a guy who was drafted. So he, in theory, should have 2 rounds more experience or 2 rounds of better ceiling than these guys who are undrafted free agents. And to be able to post a faster speed than Juju Brents, than Jalen Simpson, all of these guys who, I think, or Jalen Jones, who I think that we all agree, these are fast guys, these have the ability, but to be able to have the football IQ, especially in the division that we're in, I understand the Tennessee Titans are old as dirt, but they're going to be really good in their route running abilities with DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley specifically. You also have Gabe Davis now in Jacksonville, and then you talk about what Houston's doing, where they have Nico Collins, they have Tank Dell, they have Stephon Diggs, all of these guys, and we're not even talking about the tight ends or running backs. To be able to have a guy who has good football IQ, even at this smaller size, I think is going to make an immediate impact in a really, really struggling defensive backfield like the Indianapolis Colts have. And I think this is a big deal. Abraham brings ball hawking nature to the Colts secondary that needs more production, especially turning the ball over. Outside of Kenny Moore, no Colts cornerbacks had more than 1 interception last season. His ball production combined with aggressiveness in the run game, 150 total tackles, is why Abraham is a member of the Colts today. I saw this when watching the highlights. The explosiveness, this guy, again, can't talk enough about football IQ, but we bring in when he's able to see, there was an RPO specifically that was played, and it was played well by the offense. I mean, it was good. But Micah Abraham had explosiveness to be able to break off his receiver and go straight for the ball, and was able to land I think it was like a 3.5 or a 4 yard loss by the running back, tackled him behind lines. He goes on to say this: I wish I was taller, but I can't do much about that one. So again, you have to excel in different areas. Be better than most. I'm never going to be one to shy away from anything, whether it's getting the ball in the air, making a tackle. I never will shy away from any of it. I think this is all encouraging. This is exactly what you want to see in a guy. And again, he's a second-year talent. His father, Donnie Abraham, was a third-round pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 1996. He had 38 interceptions and a Pro Bowl selection in 2000. His cousin Tim Jennings played for the Colts and was a member of the Super Bowl XLI team in 2006. Football has run in his veins since he was a kid. I think that there's a time of which legacy plays a big role in who is going to get drafted and when. I think that there is a time like this where you look and you say, this guy's he doesn't have the on-paper strength and size, but he has the ability and he has the brains. And I think that a lot of times there are a lot of times that the Colts draft based on brains and character more than they draft based on who's played in the best conference or who's done all this. So I think that when looking at Micah Abraham, I don't think that he was a stretch at 6. I think he was a steal at the 6th round. I mean, to pick 201, to be able to get a guy, even if he's a third string cornerback, which I don't think he will be. I really do. After looking at the film and looking at what he's able to do and just the chip on this guy's shoulder, I really think this guy could be in a year or 2 years or even this season to be able to be a starting cornerback who's going to be able to have an instant impact for the Colts this season. Yeah, I mean, and this was a video that was suggested by a commenter. So if you have more videos or more ideas that you want in-depth coverage of specific players, just be sure to leave a comment, and I'll be sure if there's someone like Micah Abraham who's a diamond in the rough that I had not even thought about. Then yeah, I would love to be able to do that. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, it would mean a lot if you like and subscribe as we continue to build this community, and we'll see you on the next one.